Welcome into College Basketball Pick Show with John Ryan Sports. John, welcome in. How you feeling?
I'm doing really well, Drew. How about you?
Doing good. We got 4 games in the
Good.
Big Ten, 2 in the Big East that we're going to be breaking down here, guys. So, John, we'll get right into it. First game up Friday night, Wisconsin at Rutgers. Looks like Wisconsin should be about a 7 to 8 point favorite on the road in Piscataway. What are you thinking here with the Badgers and Scarlet Knights?
Well, I think we saw last week when Rutgers lost to Ohio State and dropped out of the top 25 that they're not the team we thought they were. Wisconsin is a very, very good team. They might actually be a little bit underrated. So I think you'll see this line open at about 6.5 points. Might be, 5.5 because it's on the road and it's Rutgers and Rutgers needs to win. That'll be the betting public's mentality. But Wisconsin, is the slowest paced team in the Big Ten. They average 66 possessions per 40 minutes, and that ranks 325th nationally. But they're also the most efficient offensive team in the Big Ten based on a lot of my metrics. So I think they take care of business here, and Rutgers has a tradition of playing poorly against these, what I call attentive teams. They pay attention to their details. They make passes. They're not afraid to pass up a shot looking for a better one. And Rutgers struggles against those types of teams.
Okay, so maybe like the Iowas of the world, that's what you compare Wisconsin to?
Well, they're probably the inverted version of Iowa. That's a great point. Iowa will run up and down the court and basically run you off the court. They're averaging 91.9 points per game, ranking third in the nation. Only Gonzaga and I think the Citadel is second. But Gonzaga's averaging 96, but not against competition like the Big Ten is. So, in my opinion, I think a lot of other people would share it. Iowa is probably the best offense in the nation. So Wisconsin, they're not going to score 100. They're not going to score 90. They might score 66 and hold their opponent to 48. So it's a kind of like an inverse, but they're both very good, efficient offenses.
Okay, so looking towards the Badgers there, guys, as the road favorites. We got second game up here on Saturday, John. We got the Michigan Wolverines, number 7 ranked Michigan Wolverines at the number 23 ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers. Looks like the Wolverines minus 6.5, minus 7 point road favorites. What are you liking here?
Well, I think here again, Michigan will take care of business. Their pace is ranked 221st nationally. They get 69.7 possessions per game. Minnesota has a 95th ranking in pace of play at 72.7 possessions per game. In terms of the power ratings, Michigan is 5th in my overall rankings of all 356 Division I teams, and Minnesota is a distant 38th. Michigan is 19th, averaging 82 points per game and winning by an average of 16 points. Minnesota, 41st, averaging 79.1 points per game, but winning games by 4.9, and that does not rank anywhere close to where Michigan is on the offensive efficiency metrics. That would probably take me a half hour to go through, and we don't have time for that. But Michigan, and this is from the machine learning stuff where I get the projections of how many points a team is going to score. Michigan is 13-4 against the spread in road games and scoring at least 76 or more points per game or points in the game over the last 5 seasons. So it's actually projecting that they'll score a little bit below their season average, but it's 76 and above. So anything above 76, and I think you get a winning bet.
So just for record-keeping purposes here, John, 3-1 last week. So want to keep these good trends going. Just to be clear, you're liking Michigan here.
Yes. I like Michigan minus the points. For some reason they're favored by 2 or 3 points more than this, and they're coming up to a double digit. I always update these when necessary on Twitter, so you can get those updates. And a lot of times my plan will be to put these up as free picks for everybody to see with greater detail and a little bit more analysis. So that could happen in this matchup.
Okay, and follow him on Twitter at John Ryan Sports One. Check him out at sportsmemo.com, guys. We got two on Sunday we'll hit here in the Big Ten, John. We got Penn State at Purdue. Looks like a projected number about Purdue Boilermakers -3 at home. Which way you going in this one on Sunday?
Well, this one we're taking Penn State in this one. I think they're going to come away with the win. Very briefly, my metrics tell me that I have the better offensive team and the better defensive team with Penn State. Now, if you look at the flash numbers defensively, you'll say I'm nuts because Purdue ranks higher in those flash numbers. But when you adjust it for strength of schedule of the opponents they have played, it's light years from what those flash numbers are revealing. So those flash numbers, in my opinion, can be very misleading. And you must use pace of play and the strength of the opponent to really get to the bottom line of where a team is relative to an opponent. So I think the line here is probably going to come in with Purdue as a skinny favorite, maybe 2.5, 3.5. But based on my metrics, Penn State should be favored by 4 on the road. So we'll have to see how this goes. This reminds me of last week when we had Purdue. I think they were 6.5-point underdogs going into Michigan State, and they beat them. They beat them by 1, but they beat them. So I think we have a similar situation here with Penn State walking into West Lafayette, Indiana, and coming away with the win.
All right, liking the underdog in there, going on the road in that one on Sunday. We actually got another one here Sunday, talking about the previous mentioned Iowa Hawkeyes. Looks like laying doubles on the road at Northwestern. What are you liking here? You liking the Hawkeyes laying a big number?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the bank again. We had them last week in the show, and they took care of business. They're, as we've been discussing in this show already, Iowa is one of the best offenses I have seen, maybe in the last decade and maybe even longer. The key is Luka Garza. He's leading the nation in scoring, and God forbid if he would get hurt. I would never want to see that happen to any team with a National Player of the Year candidate like he is. Obviously, the scope of their team would change monumentally if anything ever did happen to him. But they play at basically any pace they want to play. A lot of people say they play at a fast pace. They are the fastest paced team in the Big Ten, but they can also play physical, like a Wisconsin. So they can switch gears, much like I would call it like a Ferrari. Ferraris have sometimes more than 6 gears in that manual transmission, and they can adjust from first, second to fifth or sixth in a matter of minutes. So I think this is just a big mismatch against Northwestern, and I definitely think Iowa wins this game possibly by as many as 20.
All right, liking the favorite, the Hawkeyes here, guys, upwards of maybe 20, but it looks like the projected line maybe 10 to 12 here. So in recap of the Big Ten, guys, from John Ryan Sports One on Twitter, we get liking Iowa. We're also liking the underdog, Penn State over Purdue. We got Michigan -6, -7, the projected number on Saturday over Minnesota, and Wisconsin -7 or -8 over Rutgers.